quilt roadies. Thank you for stopping by. I always enjoy this little time together. It is absolutely a gorgeous day in the Portland, Oregon area. The sun is out. I mean, I know that there's rain coming, but for this moment in time, we are embracing everything about the sun and outdoors. So I spent the morning, well, my middle grandson stayed overnight, and then his mother came and picked myself and her older son up, and we took him and his little brother to a local park, and they ran around, and my grandson rode his little bike around the trails in the park and playground, and we had a snack and got to visit. It was just like one of those perfect weather days where you just kind of embrace the slower pace of life. It was awesome. It was awesome. But now I'm back in the Beehive, and I plan on getting some things done. I have been a busy bee here. I have been a busy bee. As you saw at the beginning, I finished tacking the binding down on the Beehive quilt that will be part of the Quilts in the Garden program, which I think is on Thursday this year during the Quilters Affair week that precedes the Sisters Outdoor Quilt Show, which is always the second Saturday in July. It's quite the event. It's a bucket list event. So if you have an inkling to make that part of your bucket list, I don't think you'll be disappointed. I don't think so. I'm very much looking forward to it, and I feel so relieved that I have everything ready for the show. Yeah, just going to be great. Now, I'm still working on the projects for the Quilters Affair itself. I'm doing 3 days of sit and stitch, and then 1 day of buttermilk basin wool stitching, and 1 day of all through the night Bonnie Sullivan wool stitching. So I've got a full week, and you know, it's kind of like one of those events that comes every year, and you know you are so excited about it, and you know you're going to be exhausted by the time it's over. But I am very excited about it. Well, I told you I told you last time that when I made the table runner that I was working on. And let me see, do I have that pattern around here? Oh yeah, here it is. So this is the pattern that I used. It's Bricks and Sticks, Charming Bricks and Sticks. That I didn't realize that the charm pack, one charm pack makes not only the table runner, but the 4 placemats. So when I was sewing my table, and I wasn't going to make the placemats, so when I was sewing the table runner together, I realized that, my gosh, there's a whole lot of sticks and bricks left, and my table runner looked already long enough, and so I looked at the pattern again. Yeah, one does need to read patterns occasionally, is that I had enough to actually make 2 table runners. So I was very pleased about that, because I knew I was making this one as a gift, and I was really falling in love with it. And so now I get to have one for myself. And it's exciting to think that this pattern actually, with 1 charm pack, would make 2 table runners. What happened, though, is when I was picking out the backing fabric for one of the table runners, I had decided, because when I went to, I'm kind of babbling here, but when I went to my quilt retreat, one of my friends brought a quilt. Well, it wasn't at quilt retreat, excuse me. It was just the quilt gathering that we had. One of my friends brought a quilt that was very linear, and it had, the long arm quilter who quilted it had done a circular motif. So I thought, since this pattern looks very linear, that I also would do circular quilting on it. Do you hear that pounding? I don't know what it is, but I have the window open, and I don't want to shut it because it's so beautiful. Okay, back to the table runner. I am a freaking genius. I know I hear some of you laughing, but I picked out a fabric I had in my stash, always a good thing, that had circles on it for the backing, and I said, why am I going to mark the front to quilt? I can just quilt it from the back. It's an all-over design. I know maybe some of you have already thought of this, and this is like, duh, but for me it was a light bulb moment, and I felt like, oh my gosh, this is going to rock my world. So here's the front. I'm tacking the binding down right now. So here's the front, and the backing that I chose was this. So all I did when I was quilting was I followed the circulars in a diagonal pattern all the way back and forth across, so that I had my circles on the front. I know. I mean, I know maybe some of you already know this, but for me it was like one of those light bulb moments, and it's going to make me look at backing fabric entirely differently. If you want to do an all-over design, you could conceivably choose the right backing fabric and just follow the pattern on the fabric. I know. You're laughing because you're saying, you just figured that out? You just figured that out. Well, yeah, I did. I just figured it out. I have been quite busy this week, so not only did I finish the binding on the Beehive quilt, I quilted this table runner, I put the binding on it, and I am in the process of tacking that binding down. I also prepped a new project. I just, sometimes when I get very, it's a hyper-focus moment. I might be straightening out the beehive, and then suddenly it's like, and this week it was that I did laundry, and that sent me down a rabbit hole, because in my previous house I decorated my laundry room, and this house I just started to decorate it a little bit, because if you do laundry and you have to be in there, why not make it somewhat pleasant? And I had previously bought a kit from the Cotton Harvest quilt shop, and that's in Ontario, Seaforth. It's in Canada. So I spent half an hour looking for that kit, because, and I, in my mind's eye, this is the thing about each year that you get older, you you maybe don't remember things like that, but you like retrace your thought process or your step, or you're going to a map of some kind. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? It's like, okay, I know I bought the pattern because I fell in love with it. So I know it's in this room somewhere. And I know that I bought it in a kit because the wool that was used in the kit for the sky was absolutely perfect. And I would not have that piece of wool in my stash. So I decided to buy the kit so I could get the sky. But here's the pattern to decorate in my laundry room. 3 sheets. And I want you to really look at this. The extraordinary part of this pattern is the effect of it being like a watercolor. So it's not primitive in where you use a blanket stitch or a whip stitch, buttonhole stitch, and it's not really Sue Spargo type of stitching where you're using these extraordinary embellishing stitches. It's more like embroidery or texturing, and I just not only wanted the opportunity to do that, I loved the look of this. And so I prepped it. Now, in the instructions, you have to know, in the instructions, she preps her pieces much like Sue Spargo does to give it that dimension. I don't prep that way, so this pattern I had to reverse to get it, to prep it the way I want to prep it, which is that I fuse it down first. So here's my prepped piece. Isn't it gorgeous? I mean, it really is gorgeous. The only piece I changed out was the basket, and it's because I had this textured weave brown that I wanted to use for the basket, the laundry basket. But I'm really looking forward to this type of stitching where it's more like a watercolor to give it that. But you could almost feel the breeze there, and you could almost smell the sheets. So this will be a project that I'll have ongoing. Yeah, I love it. I was looking for something here in the Beehive for a friend of mine, and it sent me down another rabbit hole. And that was a project that had like fallen under the radar. But when I was looking for stuff for this friend of mine, I found this project again, and I am recommitted to it. And this project was a class that I took, or a workshop that I took, with Sue Spargo. And the pattern, this is the pattern. And what this is it's a bag. It's a bag that holds spools of thread. But the difference is that I did not make this. I did not make this. I was so inspired by my friend Ariane, and you can see her YouTube channel on the other hand. She is a artist and an incredible stitcher. Just an incredible stitcher in a very, very free-form, artistic way. You know, that's the thing about the stitching world, is there's such a huge variety of artists and the way they move through their art and their stitching world that you get inspired. And I was so inspired by a quilt that, an embellished quilt that Ariane had made several years ago, that when I couldn't quite get this one off the ground until I started creating my own story. And so the front of my bag is about Arizona. It's been over 2 years since we've been there, but definitely for G and I, our hearts live a little bit in Arizona. The terrain, the friends we made there are just forever special in our heart. And we traveled through Arizona and camped in several different vehicles or RVs or campers or whatever. And at the time that I started this, we were in a trailer. And so the front of my thread spool is an ode to that period of time. And it was inspired by Ariane's creativity in the story she was stitching at the time. And so I have like you see the bee there, and I have our trailer, and Sue Spargo taught me how to weave, and I made that saguaro cactus. And then I got this sweet piece of fabric from a friend in Arizona that I turned into a barrel cactus because I love that. I still have some flower things to stitch on top. And then there used to be, at one campground we were at, there were orange trees all over, and there were just oranges laying on the ground, and they were delicious. They were just delicious. So I stitched some oranges on the ground. The rain cloud, I still have to stitch some rain down here. And then the road. And I used a variety of stitches from Sue Spargo's Creative Stitching book. And then I'm working on the jackrabbit right now. Yeah. So this is going to be the front of my spool bag that will hold some thread. Isn't that gorgeous? If I do say so myself. And I do. Yeah. So, and that's the thing, is that I totally out of sight, out of mind. And all it took was me stumbling across and realizing, wow, this thing is so close to being done. I need to get it done. Get her done. Yeah, get her done. At the end of this particular video will be the winners of the Fat Quarter gift card and the winner of the Skinny Pillow book. I mean, this Skinny Pillow book by Under the Woolen Willow is, I've been drooling over it. It's so fabulous. It's so fabulous. I was so tempted to keep it, but, she included a postage paid envelope. So, lucky for you. Lucky for you. But these are so cute. And, they make great bowl fillers, they make great pin cushions, or gifts, housewarming gifts or gifts for friends. Just a great, great little pillows for every occasion. In the mail, I got, let's see, I got my Fat Quarter stuff. And for those of you that are going to jump on board with me, here's my thought. You can take it or leave it. You can take it or leave it. I'm counting on you taking it. But what I've discovered this year, and I've really been paying attention, especially in my cross-stitch life, but also in my quilting life, with this, like the table runner, the sticks and bricks table runner, that it took so little for myself, for me to make that inspirational leap and get the excitement back. And that's kind of what a new project does for you. You know, I think in the pandemic, we spent a lot of time browbeating ourselves at the beginning of the pandemic when we couldn't go anywhere and we were looking at what was surrounding us, that, oh my gosh, we have too much stuff. I'm not buying anything else. I'm only stitching out of my stash. You know, there were all these mantras that were going around. What it evolved for me was that yes, I do want to get those projects done. I do want to make progress on an old project. But what helps move those old projects along is a new project. It's like, it's kind of like how you feel in a new outfit. Yeah, sure, you have a closet full of clothes, but you buy that new shirt or that new pair of shoes, and suddenly you're walking lighter. So I have found for myself that occasionally bringing in something new is going to move my other projects forward in a way that I didn't anticipate. So the sticks and bricks table runner, wow, such a shot in the arm for me. The next thing, as I showed you last time, was out of this book. This great book by Martingale. It is perfect quilts from all the pre-cuts. You know, the charm packs, the 2.5-inch squares, the layer cakes, the jelly rolls, you know, all of those. That's what we're talking about, pre-cuts. And I flipped through this book, and literally all of these are, they're all fun. They're all fun. And the explanations in this book are quite easy to follow. But the one that caught my eye was Apple of My Eye. And it's this one here. Because it looks like spools. I know they're supposed to be like apple cores, but they look like spools. And it is made, and I've had this book forever, and I've not made anything out of it. I mean, I bought this book quite a while ago, but haven't made anything out of it yet. But this particular Apple of My Eye, it makes a twin size quilt out of one jelly roll plus the background fabric. But one jelly roll makes all of those. So I got this great idea that I needed to get the threads that bind the new Blackbird design fabric in a jelly roll, because I knew that Fat Quarter Shop had the pre-cuts. Now the threads that bind Blackbird design fabric is being released as we speak. I mean, June it's going to be all over. But the pre-cuts have been in the Fat Quarter Shop online. So I went and I looked, and I decided, since this is the one I want to make, that I needed to get the threads that bind jelly roll. And I already opened it up. This is momentous. This is momentous because I normally have jelly rolls sitting around here that I love, but I can't take the wrapper off because they're to look at, not to actually make anything out of. I know, it's a crazy way to think of, but I took the wrapper off, and look at that. Look at that wonderful. Isn't that gorgeous? So this week I am going to start, this is going to be my summer-long project, because boy is it a busy summer. I have camping trips, I have quilters affair, I have grandchildren, you know, yeah. It's gonna, and I'm gonna love every minute of it. So I'm not like gonna say, I'm doing this in a week. If it happened, it happened though. But this is going to be my next new project in my quilting life, in my quilt roadie life. And I just couldn't just get the jelly roll. I just couldn't do that. So I also got, oh, where did I put it? Oh, I got the, it's somewhere here. Who knows where I put it? Oh, I don't know where I put it. I got the charm pack too. So I got the threads that bind, jelly roll, and the charm pack, because I think I want to do a, geez, I wonder what I did with that. I think I want to do a table topper with the charm pack. Not a table runner, but a table topper. It's just such beautiful fabric, I couldn't pass it up. So that is, oh, there it is. Right there in front of me. So I got the charm pack, threads that bind. 42 5-inch squares. Oh, so pretty. So pretty. Also arriving in the mail, because I'm a subscriber of the So Yeah Brothers box of the month. And the box of the month, you know, I think to myself, why am I doing a box of the month? You know, why am I doing a box of the month? And then I opened this box and I said, oh yeah, see, it comes in this nice little box. But I swear the brothers knew exactly what I liked. Because this month's box not only came always with a spool of Aurifil thread, which I was just running out of white after I, the last little bit on the spool when I quilted this table runner, I used white thread, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna have to get another spool of white thread, and look what came. They always include a spool of Aurifil thread, a notion, and this particular notion, it cracks me up. It's a tulip pink angle tweezers, Swiss style angle tweezers. It's absolutely beautiful. But being an old nurse, back in the day, we used to throw away sometimes, recycle, repurpose all the surgical tools. So we all have needle drivers, tweezers, you know, all those kinds of things in our arsenal. But look at the fabric. I mean, this is like right up my alley. It's all the creams, and one has words printed on it. I mean, this is like totally my cup of tea. Totally. Oh my gosh, look at this one. Oh, yeah. Look at that fabric. Isn't that fabulous? Yeah. Yeah, so you'll have to go check them out, and maybe next year you'll want to get on this bandwagon with this box of the month. Because it really does brighten your day when it arrives. Well, I think that's all I have for today, so be sure to check here at the end for the winners of the gift card and the winners of the Skinny Pillow book. I just finished reading Mitch Albom's book, Stranger in the Lifeboat, and it was an interesting book, recommended by a friend. I was about 2/3 of the way through going, what the heck is going on? And then with all the events in the world, it was like, wow, this was the perfect book for me to read at this time. And I've started a new book called The Chemist, which is a spy type thriller. And so that's keeping my interest. But The Stranger in the Lifeboat, yeah, it's worth picking up. And so I'll leave you with this quote from the author. May the stranger in your lifeboat always guide you and inspire you and shine upon you. Thank you. Thank you for hanging out with me. I love you guys. Keep on quilting. Keep on enjoying your life. It's the one you got. Talk to you later.